What if I told you that your hair isn't falling out because of age, but because your scalp is slowly being starved? After 60, most people accept thinning hair as an unavoidable sentence. They say it's just genetics. They say it's hormones. They say this is what happens when you get older. But what if that belief is the very thing stopping you from looking deeper? What if the real story isn't about age at all, but about circulation, inflammation, and cellular energy? Inside your scalp live thousands of tiny factories called hair follicles. Each one depends on a steady, rich supply of oxygen, amino acids, minerals, and growth signals delivered through microscopic blood vessels. These vessels are so small you can't see them with the naked eye, yet they determine whether your hair grows thick and strong or thin and fragile. As we move past 60, something critical changes. The inner lining of our blood vessels, the endothelium, becomes less flexible. It produces less nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for helping vessels relax and widen. When nitric oxide declines, vessels stiffen. When vessels stiffen, circulation slows. And when circulation slows, the scalp receives fewer nutrients. Hair follicles are highly active tissues. They divide rapidly. They demand constant fuel. If that fuel supply weakens even slightly, follicles respond quickly. First, strands become thinner. Then the growth phase shortens. More hairs enter the shedding phase. Over time, follicles can shrink, a process known as miniaturization, until they produce barely visible strands. This process doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual, silent, often unnoticed until the mirror reflects a thinner hairline or a widening part. But circulation is only part of the equation. After 60, inflammation tends to rise quietly in the background. It's not the kind that causes immediate pain. It's low-grade, chronic inflammation driven by oxidative stress, unstable blood sugar, and age-related metabolic shifts. Hair follicles are extremely sensitive to inflammatory signals. When the body perceives stress or inflammation, it diverts resources away from non-essential systems. And biologically speaking, hair is not essential for survival. So the body prioritizes the heart, the brain, the immune system. The follicles receive less support. There's another hidden factor: insulin resistance. As we age, blood sugar control often becomes less efficient. Spikes and crashes become more common. Elevated insulin levels can disrupt hormonal balance and increase inflammatory pathways that interfere with the hair growth cycle. High glucose levels also damage delicate blood vessels, including those feeding the scalp. Now consider this. If thinning hair reflects reduced circulation, increased inflammation, and unstable metabolism, then addressing those root causes could shift the outcome. Hair loss is not merely cosmetic. It is a visible signal of internal biological changes. When blood vessels are healthy, they deliver oxygen efficiently. Oxygen fuels mitochondria, the energy centers inside cells. Follicle cells rely on mitochondrial energy to produce keratin, the structural protein that forms hair strands. Without sufficient energy, production slows. Think of a follicle like a manufacturing plant. If electricity drops by 30%, output drops too, not because the machinery is broken, but because it lacks power. And aging does not automatically shut down power plants. It simply makes them less efficient unless we actively support them. Research in vascular biology shows that improving endothelial function can restore flexibility to blood vessels, even later in life. Nitric oxide production can be stimulated. Oxidative stress can be reduced. Inflammatory markers can decline when the right nutritional signals are introduced. That means hair follicles may not be permanently dead. Many are dormant, waiting, underfed, underoxygenated, but still alive. The shocking truth is that most people focus on shampoos, serums, and surface treatments while ignoring the internal highways that deliver nourishment to the scalp. You cannot grow strong hair on a weak foundation. If the bloodstream isn't delivering what follicles need, no topical solution can compensate fully. After 60, the strategy must shift from external fixes to internal activation. Support the vessels, calm the inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, fuel the mitochondria. When you improve vascular function, you're not just helping your hair, you're improving brain health, heart health, and overall vitality. The same capillaries that feed your scalp also support cognitive performance and cardiovascular resilience. And here's what makes this empowering. The body retains remarkable adaptability. Even in later decades, blood vessels can respond to positive signals, cells can regenerate, mitochondria can become more efficient, inflammation can decline. Hair thinning is not simply a countdown clock ticking toward inevitability, it's feedback, it's communication. It's your biology revealing that circulation, metabolic balance, and cellular energy need attention. When you understand that hair follicles depend on microcirculation and anti-inflammatory support, you stop seeing age as the enemy. You start seeing biology as a system that can be influenced. Your scalp is not isolated from the rest of your body. It reflects what is happening inside your arteries, your metabolism, and your cellular engines. Change the internal environment, and you change the message your follicles receive. Now let's talk about something that surprises almost everyone: chocolate. For decades, chocolate has been blamed for weight gain, sugar spikes, and indulgence. But real dark chocolate, 70% cocoa or higher, is not candy. It is a concentrated source of plant compounds that directly influence your blood vessels, your circulation, and your cellular health. Inside cocoa are powerful molecules called flavonols. These are natural plant nutrients that activate an enzyme in your body responsible for producing nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is not a supplement. It's not a vitamin. It's a signaling molecule your body makes to tell blood vessels to relax and widen. After 60, nitric oxide production declines. That decline affects circulation throughout the body, including the tiny capillaries that feed your scalp. When vessels cannot relax properly, they become stiff. When they stiffen, blood flow decreases. And when blood flow decreases, oxygen delivery drops. Hair follicles are extremely sensitive to oxygen levels. They require a steady stream to maintain the active growth phase, known as anagen. When oxygen becomes limited, follicles may shift prematurely into the resting phase. That shift results in increased shedding and slower regrowth. Cocoa flavonols have been shown to improve endothelial function, the health of the inner lining of your blood vessels. A healthier endothelium produces more nitric oxide. More nitric oxide means better vessel dilation. Better dilation means improved circulation. Imagine widening the highway that delivers nutrients to your scalp. More blood can pass through. More oxygen can reach the follicles. More amino acids and minerals can be delivered efficiently. But circulation is only part of the power of dark chocolate. Cocoa is also rich in antioxidants. As we age, oxidative stress increases. Free radicals accumulate and damage cellular structures, including those inside hair follicles. This oxidative stress contributes to follicle miniaturization and cellular aging. Flavonols help neutralize these free radicals. They reduce the inflammatory signals that interfere with healthy hair cycling. By lowering oxidative damage, cocoa supports a more stable environment for follicle cells to function. Dark chocolate also contains magnesium, a mineral that plays a role in over 300 biochemical reactions in the body. Magnesium supports stress regulation and helps calm the nervous system. Chronic stress elevates cortisol levels, and elevated cortisol can push hair follicles into the shedding phase. Magnesium helps balance that stress response. Iron is another important nutrient found in cocoa. Iron is essential for hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen. Without adequate iron, oxygen delivery declines. Even mild deficiencies can impact hair health because follicles are among the first tissues to show signs of reduced oxygen transport. Copper is present as well. Copper plays a role in melanin production, the pigment that gives hair its color. It also supports connective tissue structure within the follicle environment. But here's the key: quality and quantity matter. Milk chocolate loaded with sugar does not provide the same benefits. Excess sugar spikes insulin. Elevated insulin contributes to inflammation and damages blood vessels over time. That directly counteracts the vascular support we are trying to build. The goal is small, consistent amounts of high cocoa dark chocolate, ideally 70% or higher with minimal added sugar. 1 to 2 small squares per day is enough to deliver flavonols without overwhelming your metabolism. This is not about indulgence, it is about strategic nourishment. When you consume high-quality dark chocolate, you are sending a signal to your vascular system. You are supporting nitric oxide production. You are improving endothelial responsiveness. You are enhancing microcirculation. Better microcirculation means your scalp is no longer operating in survival mode. It begins receiving the oxygen and nutrients it needs to maintain thicker, stronger strands. There is another layer to consider. Dark chocolate can also influence blood pressure regulation. Healthier blood pressure supports stable perfusion throughout the body, including the scalp. When circulation pressure is balanced, not too high, not too low, delivery systems function more efficiently. Additionally, cocoa flavanols may support insulin sensitivity. Stable blood sugar levels reduce inflammatory stress on blood vessels. When glucose remains controlled, the delicate capillaries that nourish follicles are less likely to experience damage. Every time you stabilize blood sugar, you protect your vessels. Every time you protect your vessels, you protect your follicles. Think of dark chocolate as a vascular ally. It works at the level of the blood vessel lining. It works at the level of oxidative stress. It works at the level of metabolic stability. And because hair follicles are so dependent on circulation and nutrient delivery, even modest improvements in vascular function can create noticeable changes over time. This is not an overnight transformation. Hair grows in cycles measured in months, but consistent vascular support creates an environment where follicles can remain in their growth phase longer. When follicles remain longer in anagen, strands grow thicker. Shedding decreases. Density improves gradually. After 60, the focus should not be on forcing hair to grow. It should be on restoring the biological conditions that allow growth to happen naturally. Dark chocolate, when chosen wisely and consumed strategically, becomes more than a treat. It becomes a tool to nourish the very system that feeds your scalp. Now let's go deeper into the second bar, the one most people overlook completely. After 60, one of the most underestimated causes of hair thinning is inadequate protein utilization. Hair is made primarily of keratin, a structural protein built from amino acids. Every strand growing from your scalp is the result of your body assembling amino acids into strong, tightly bound fibers. If your body lacks either the raw materials or the ability to absorb them efficiently, hair production slows. Aging changes digestion. Stomach acid levels often decline. Digestive enzymes may not function as efficiently. The microbiome, the trillions of bacteria in your gut, shifts in composition. All of this affects how well you break down and absorb protein. You may believe you are eating enough protein, but the real question is, are you absorbing it? When protein digestion is incomplete, fewer amino acids reach the bloodstream. When fewer amino acids circulate, hair follicles receive less of the building material they require. Follicles are metabolically active structures. They need a steady supply of specific amino acids such as cysteine, methionine, and lysine to construct keratin properly. This is where a clean, low-sugar, nutrient-dense protein bar can become strategic rather than convenient. But not just any bar. Many commercial bars are packed with refined sugars, syrups, and artificial additives. Those ingredients spike insulin and promote inflammation. Elevated insulin can disrupt hormonal balance and increase inflammatory signals that push follicles into premature shedding phases. The bar that supports hair health must stabilize blood sugar, not destabilize it. Look for protein bars built around fermented plant proteins, nuts, and seeds. Fermentation improves digestibility. It breaks down complex protein structures into forms that are easier for your body to absorb. It can also reduce anti-nutrients that interfere with mineral absorption. Improved absorption means more amino acids reach circulation. More amino acids mean more building blocks available to follicles. Nuts and seeds add another powerful layer. Almonds provide vitamin E, a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects cell membranes from oxidative stress. Pumpkin seeds supply zinc, a mineral essential for tissue repair and hair follicle function. Zinc deficiency has been linked to hair thinning because zinc plays a role in DNA synthesis and cellular division within follicles. Walnuts contribute omega-3 fatty acids, which help modulate inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation disrupts the hair growth cycle. By calming inflammatory pathways, omega-3s help create a more stable environment for follicle activity. Seeds such as chia and flax add fiber. Fiber slows the absorption of carbohydrates, preventing rapid blood sugar spikes. Stable glucose levels protect delicate blood vessels from glycation damage. Glycation occurs when excess sugar binds to proteins and weakens structural integrity, including within blood vessels. Protecting blood vessels protects circulation. Protecting circulation protects follicles. There is also the microbiome connection. Your gut bacteria influence systemic inflammation and nutrient production. Certain beneficial microbes help synthesize B vitamins, including biotin-related compounds. Biotin plays a role in keratin infrastructure. While severe biotin deficiency is rare, suboptimal levels can affect hair strength. A fiber-rich, plant-based protein bar can nourish beneficial gut bacteria. When the microbiome becomes more balanced, inflammatory signals decrease. Nutrient absorption improves. The immune system becomes less reactive. Hair follicles are sensitive to immune shifts. Inflammatory immune responses can interfere with follicle cycling. Supporting gut health indirectly supports follicle stability. Another factor after 60 is sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass. Muscle tissue acts as a metabolic reservoir for amino acids. When muscle declines, the body's protein reserves shrink. Consistent, moderate protein intake helps maintain muscle and ensures a steady supply of amino acids for other tissues, including hair. Timing also matters. Consuming protein in smaller, evenly distributed amounts throughout the day improves utilization. A strategically chosen protein bar between meals can provide that distribution without overwhelming digestion. The key is clean composition, minimal added sugar, no artificial trans fats, balanced fiber, high-quality protein sources, and nutrient-dense ingredients. This is not about calorie counting. It is about nutrient signaling. When you consistently supply your body with bioavailable amino acids, anti-inflammatory fats, antioxidants, and fiber, you create internal stability. Blood sugar remains steady, inflammation quiets, circulation improves, hair follicles respond to stability. They remain in the growth phase longer when the environment feels safe and nourished. They are less likely to prematurely enter the resting or shedding phase when stress signals are reduced. Think of the protein bar as structural support. If dark chocolate enhances blood flow and vascular function, the protein bar delivers the construction materials. One improves delivery systems, the other strengthens supply lines. Together, they address two fundamental pillars of hair health after 60: circulation and structure. Every strand that grows is built from nutrients you provide. Every follicle that stays active depends on a stable internal environment. When digestion improves, absorption increases, inflammation decreases, and blood sugar stabilizes, follicles receive a clear message that resources are available. And when resources are available, growth becomes possible. Hair loss after 60 is not random. It is not a mysterious switch that suddenly flips because of a birthday. It is the visible reflection of deeper biological patterns: circulation slowing, inflammation rising, metabolism shifting, nutrient absorption declining. When you understand that, you stop chasing surface-level solutions and start focusing on systems. The strategy is not complicated, but it is powerful. First, support circulation. Without blood flow, nothing else matters. Hair follicles are among the most metabolically active structures in the body. They divide rapidly. They synthesize protein continuously. They require oxygen every second. When blood vessels stiffen and narrow with age, the scalp becomes undernourished. Improving endothelial function, helping blood vessels relax and expand, restores the highway that delivers life to the follicle. Every time you enhance nitric oxide production through nutrient-dense foods, you are improving that delivery system. Every time you protect blood vessels from oxidative stress and sugar damage, you preserve the channels that feed your scalp. Circulation is not just about the heart. It is about every microscopic capillary that keeps tissue alive. Second, deliver building blocks. Hair is constructed, not imagined. It is built from amino acids assembled into keratin fibers. If the body does not have access to those amino acids in sufficient quantities, production slows. After 60, digestion may weaken. Protein needs may increase. Muscle mass declines, reducing the reservoir of available amino acids. Consistent intake of high-quality protein ensures follicles are not operating in scarcity, but building blocks alone are not enough if inflammation is interfering. Third, reduce inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the most underestimated drivers of hair thinning. It disrupts signaling pathways that regulate the hair growth cycle. It pushes follicles prematurely from growth into rest. It damages cellular structures through oxidative stress. Reducing inflammation is not about eliminating all stress. It is about calming the constant background noise that tells the body it is under threat. Antioxidant-rich foods neutralize free radicals before they damage follicle cells. Omega-3 fatty acids help modulate inflammatory pathways. Stable blood sugar prevents glycation and vascular injury. When inflammation quiets, follicles can remain in their active growth phase longer. Fourth, stabilize metabolism. Blood sugar fluctuations may seem unrelated to hair, but they directly affect vascular health and hormonal balance. Repeated glucose spikes damage delicate blood vessels. Insulin resistance increases inflammatory markers. Hormonal shifts influence the duration of hair growth cycles. Stabilizing blood sugar through balanced snacks and fiber-rich foods protects both circulation and follicle signaling. Consistency is where transformation happens. Hair does not respond in days. The growth cycle spans months. A follicle in the resting phase today may not re-enter growth immediately, but when the internal environment improves steadily, day after day, the signals change. Oxygen delivery improves. Amino acid availability increases. Inflammatory markers decline. Hormonal fluctuations stabilize. Dormant follicles are not necessarily dead. Many are simply underperforming because resources are limited. When resources become abundant and stress signals decline, some follicles can reactivate. Others can strengthen their output, producing thicker strands rather than fragile ones. This approach is not aggressive. It does not shock the system. It aligns with biology. Instead of forcing growth from the outside, you create conditions internally that make growth sustainable. You nourish blood vessels so they can deliver efficiently. You provide protein so construction can occur. You calm inflammation so follicles feel safe remaining active. You stabilize blood sugar so vessels are protected from damage. Over 60 is not a biological shutdown. It is a period of increased sensitivity. The body becomes more responsive to both negative and positive inputs. Poor nutrition accelerates decline more quickly, but strategic nourishment can create noticeable improvement because systems are hungry for support. The scalp reflects systemic health. When circulation improves, you often notice more than changes in hair. Skin tone may improve. Energy levels may feel steadier. Cognitive clarity can sharpen. That is because the same vascular networks support multiple tissues. Think of your body as an interconnected network rather than isolated parts. The blood vessels feeding your hair are connected to the same endothelial system supporting your heart and brain. When you strengthen that system, benefits ripple outward. The key is daily reinforcement. 1 square of high-quality dark chocolate, 1 clean, nutrient-dense protein bar, balanced meals, hydration, gentle movement to further stimulate circulation. These actions compound over time. Hair growth is cumulative. So is vascular damage, so is inflammation. Every day you either contribute to decline or support regeneration. When you choose foods that widen vessels, protect cells, and provide structural nutrients, you are shifting the balance toward regeneration. You are telling your biology that resources are sufficient. You are signaling safety rather than stress. And when the body senses safety, it invests in growth.